My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. And this is the evidence of an airport stalking. Ontario International Airport is engaged in criminal surveillance, not maintaining an actual airport. That's the ongoing devoted conduct of the entire city. The people of the state are up in the middle of the night. They're up in the at all times, keeping me under surveillance, stalking on the roads and the highways, stalking where they reside, maintaining this pattern of conduct. I'm now at the town square where they are stalking in the path, engaging in what is cartwheels, amplifying plane activity, monitoring me while they're just listening to me breathe.
This is relevant to the co-conspirator to murder as an entity that Tracy Banks and Jason Fields share in. They are going to federal prison. They are going to federal prison with those that are stalking in planes, stalking in helicopters, engaging in stalking like the people of the state, as I'm showing you. They're systematically, repeatedly engaged in what is communicating a threat while they are acting in furtherance of your murder. There are no airports, terminals where you are taking off here, nor when I'm on that side of the square where you're flying across this field, stalking, where I've shown you the fake sun and the fake moon is present. This is P.O.C. This is psychopathic pacing. When the demons engage in blatant stalking, they'll do it again. This is mentally ill behavior. They're taking off. That's Metro 102 apartments. That's gang stalking as well. Now they're flying west to be at the Ontario Village Shopping Center, where they're at the same elevation. On video, where that third party is going to prison. These are the mentally ill that are engaging in this criminal system, and it's highly deranged. Highly deranged. That's the entity. There's no terminal. This is what, it's laughable, but it's also very serious because this mental illness is psychopathic, and these are psychopaths that commit murder. That's why the Ontario National Airport is stalking, to commit murder. Alan D. Wapner, Julia Gu, Jim Bowman, they're all going to be federally prosecuted as terrorists. And the airlines are going to be federally prosecuted. This is both a federal RICO case, and it's also criminal activity, which they provide to me a wealth of it. They just did it again. That's the ongoing act itself of stalking. Remember, they're monitoring. So the stalking conduct is cyclical, repetitious, ongoing. And as I document, they're doing it again, and they're doing it with the people. All of them are in their venues in the apartments. You know that they're molesting with the possible light. You know that they're stalking with light. Those are demons that have the uncanny ability to touch me with light when their vehicle headlights aren't even facing me, because they're demons that are stalking. The Ontario International Airport is being shut down, and the gang stalkers that are flying these planes, they're going to be committed and they're going to prison. And this is all speaking for what Mike LORENZ is going to be facing, which is the federal prosecution as a terrorist leader. He's not the only one, because you're talking about Paul Leon, you're talking about Alan D. Wapner, you're talking about El Qadi, Otif El Qadi. These are demons that are engaged in what are making money, leading, facilitating massive terrorism, which is highly un-American, and it's psychotic. That the entity makes decisions on an ongoing basis. They're mentally ill, and they engaged in what is heightening over Metro 102, which is incriminating Metro 102 apartments, which I've already shown, that they're all stalking in that apartment building. This is P.O.C. It is currently 12:13 a.m. on what is now March 17, 2026. And the entity has invested millions of dollars in stalking me. And not only is the entity going to federal prison for that, that's informing you what the U.S. government is engaged in, murdering American citizens. P.O.C.
Ontario International Airport is stalking. Doing so at 5 in the morning. This is the entity that's manipulating my devices overnight, turning off the content that I'm listening to, so that Union Pacific is the guise of the public nuisance that's interrupting my sleep, while the entity is obsessively stalking so much that they want to wake me up with train activity, any method of activity creation, which is relevant to the entity that is obsessed with psychological torture and harassment. I'm going to prosecute this entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is the entity committing battery, touching my person, molesting my body with light, so that they can stare at me while I'm sleeping outside and molest me with light. I documented that. They put needles in my body, putting weird foreign substances in my body overnight while they're touching, while they're removing my sleeping bag so that they can stare at me, molest me with light, and touch my person. I documented that. Removing it so that they can just stare at me while they're stalking. And this is the entity that's engaging in that, doing so where they are stalking as the airport. Okay, I just want to be clear. Alan D. Wapner is not just an old, dirty bastard that's engaged in what is conspiring my murder. He is a pervert, and he is a co-conspirator of murder that's obsessed with touching me, harassing, and psychologically torturing me, while the airlines are gang stalking in concert with the people of the state. It's not traffic in the engineered environment where the government is stalking, it's surveillance. This is at the El Bacone, the 224 North Euclid Avenue, Ontario Town Square, where my breathing pattern, or my consciousness, my level of consciousness is a matter of public information, because the entity is stalking me. And Jason Fields and Tracy Banks are going to federal prison for what I'm documenting the government engaging in. This is P.O.C. and it is 5:23 a.m. where there's no terminals, there's no flights coming that are taking off, and there are no flights that are coming from the airport hovering over what is B Street. That's right here. they're flying over the B Street side, and that's because I'm not over at this portion of the square as well. They're stalking where I'm located in that specific environment, okay? Here's my shadow in front to the side, and here's my other shadow over here. They're perpendicular. That's not the product of light activity that's naturally occurring. The airport is a stalker, like I've already shown. So are the people. P.O.C. This is the reality of what the Ontario Police Department are. They are stalkers, and because a police department is stalking you, that's an unlawful threat, an unprecedented, never before contemplated threat under federal law, and they are being disbanded for it. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that is stabbing my feet overnight with needles at the location where the entity is touching my devices, interfering with their operation. In the environment where the entity is following from place to place in the specific environment. Those are the people of the state that are documented. License plates, addresses, images, their names, and they're together being prosecuted with the airport that is stalking. I'm at a different location, and those are the planes that are not flying at a distance. They're keeping close to me because they are stalking. It's literally stalking by Alan D. WAPNER and Julia Gu, Atif El Khadi, the entity that's calling itself a president, the airport of authority, and also an airport board. They're not. They're engaged in criminal monitoring. They're doing so in the environment where you see my shadow stretched out across the field. This is the entity that overnight stabbed my foot, and they stabbed my foot with needles while they are aware of the fact that they're published on the internet as gang stalkers, co-conspirators of murder, and they're all being federally charged for that. Okay? This is the entity that is sharing in that violence, and Tracy Banks and Jason Fields are the sex offenders, the vagina monitors that come and physically handle, and in concert with them, any prospective gang stalker is the prospective murder, the prospective thief, the prospective kidnapper. The entity is engaging in what is violence overnight, and this is relevant to them that I documented, and they are being federally prosecuted. Okay, replacing one stalker with another. This is license plate where the airport is stalking. You're going to be federally prosecuted. License 6YNP 677. This is where I've already documented the fake sunrise and set. This is that ongoing obsession with what is maintaining presence in the path by feigning ignorance about the ARCO being closed, doing so where the airport is stalking, doing so where they're doing so on behalf of the Ontario Police Department. Okay, this is the population that's being prosecuted for co-conspiring murder, 6HHB067, and they are the hands and feet of the government that are relying on the population of demons to gang stalk. This is the entity following from 224 North Euclid Avenue to 434 North Euclid Avenue. And this is the city of Ontario. This is exactly what the city of UPLAND is engaging in too. This is P.O.C. This is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. They're stalkers and they're mentally ill. Okay, so you're looking at a map. This is the entity hovering over me at the El Bacon at the B Street. I'm now here at what is the E Street. This is the entity progressing, stalking, and maintaining what is aerial surveillance, doing so while you come. This is the federal RICO case while they're stalking you. And this is the entity that's engaging in that while monitoring my vagina. They're doing so while they're stalking me obsessively with light, doing so while they are engaging in what is violence overnight, which is stabbing my feet. And this is the entity that's doing so. You're looking at all the video evidence of me identifying them because they're all being federally prosecuted. It's more than what I publish on my website. I'm identifying terrorists, and the terrorists are being federally prosecuted. The people of the state are being prosecuted for the violence that is implemented as an entity that is stalking. And I have documented them by address, by license plate. I document them by venue, such as the Ovid Family Community Library, and they will be federally and civilly prosecuted. This is violence by a population. Stabbing my feet overnight. This is what the entity committed while they are stalking conspicuously, just like this as an airport. Okay, this is the shutdown of the Ontario International Airport, the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department, the removal of the Ontario Fire Department, and prosecution of companies like ARCO, who are sharing in the criminal pattern of conduct, providing a facilitating venue for them to engage in conspicuous surveillance and spend money while doing it. You're going to drain the pockets and criminally prosecute companies like ARCO. P.O.C. It is currently 5:50 a.m. This is the entity, including ARCO. They're prosecuting. You're engaging in what is violence. You're gang stalking. You're going to be criminally prosecuted for the entirety of that crime. And Jason Fields and Tracy Banks are going to prison under all circumstances. This is P.O.C. You just made a threat.
You're a fool.
You're a fool. You're a demon. You're a demon, and that's the city of Ontario stalking.
You walking around.
This is a verbalized threat right here. This is a verbalized threat where the entity's stalking.
What?
Yeah, you did. You just said it's going to be weird.
Look,
this is audible activity. She's on her device, Title 18. And this is at 160. And this is criminal defamation.
Yes.
This is prison. That's what it is. It's going to get weird in prison.
Get up out of our neighborhood.
I'm on the sidewalk. I'm on the sidewalk.
Why are you always recording?
This is the Ontario
Why are you
police.
walking around here recording?
Why are you in my face?
Why are you taking pictures
Why are
and
you in my
videos
face?
of people's houses?
You need to back up.
Who are you?
You need to back up.
You're a weirdo.
You need to back up. Spell weirdo.
You must be home.
You need to spell weirdo. Spell weird it. That's a vagina monitor speaking. That's a vagina monitor speaking.
That's the Ontario, City of Ontario. That's the entity that's hostile. And this is where this ghetto lives. She comes outside with her wig and her fake lashes, verbalizing threats. The Ontario police are targeting through 160. That's P.O.C. She was engaged in stalking in her car and then coming outside while she's stalking a homeless person and monitoring my vagina. That'll be on the internet. That's P.O.C. These are the demons that do that while they are indeed monitoring, just like I'm documenting through the neighborhood. License 5 RJH 915. Criminal defamation, that's the City of Ontario engaging in threats, engaging what is battery. This is the government right here flying over the house. Just like they are over the Upland Public Library, just like they are while I'm walking through the neighborhood gang stalking, and I'm documenting them gang stalking. And that's the entity that's gang stalking, verbalizing a threat. That's federal prison. This is what the government does through the population. And they all know that they're being documented while they're engaging in sexual assault and battery with engineer life. Verbalizing threats, it's going to get weird. Engaging in that while the government is stalking, that's P.O.C. That's the Ontario Police Department engaging in what I've documented, ongoing acts of violence while you're defaming. There you go, because she's going to prison. On the sidewalk, by the way, getting her license plate while she's engaged in surveillance, coming outside because I'm so important. That's how important I am, Satan. Monitoring my vagina. Try not stalking and then talking. Try not stalking and then talking. Fix your wig. Prioritize your fake lashes. Get your life. Stay inside of your house. How about that? P.O.C. That's UPS gang stalking, and that's the state. And I'm going to continue to put them on the internet while they're engaging what is stalking. This demon comes outside like the rest of them to engage in the pattern of conduct. 5XGG567. You cannot insult me when you are stalking me. Tracy Banks and Jason Netherfield are going to prison. The Ontario Police Department, gang stalking to that same ongoing violence. Omnitrans is gang stalking. The people that stay on the roads and the highways, this is the state of California speaking. It's going to get weird. End quote. That's a threat. That's a veiled threat while the government is engaging in that pattern of conduct. Every house that I just documented, all the license plates, all the house numbers, while you'll see the Ontario International Airport, like you see here, progressing north up Euclid Avenue where there's no airports, no airport terminals. They're not flying from the property. They're veering north up Euclid Avenue as I walk north up Euclid Avenue. And that entity that's engaging in conspiracy to murder, verbalizing a threat. I just want to make sure that that's clear because they all vocalize that together, including UPS, including ARCO, including the City of Ontario, including Omnitrans. That federal RICO case is going to include all of that audible activity where they are threatening because you are stalking and I'm going to document you. This is P.O.C. That's the mental illness of the indie resorting to, you're trying to insult me while you're stalking. This is stalking with the government. They're coming by where I'm located in a specific environment. They do this under a fake sun. That's a psychopath projecting mental illness while she looks the way she looks. Okay? Coming outside, looking like you're sleeping outside while you're coming outside to stalk me. License 9LVP505, threatening together. 8EOH706, and this is the City of Ontario threatening together. That's the Ontario Police Department, Ontario Fire Department, AMR, all of that entity that I'm documenting gang stalking at the library. The one that's making false accusations. C. Gerber that's gang stalking me under a fake sun and then giving me a letter of admissions by this entity engaging in vagina monitor. The demons that are targeting in the City of Upland, all of that is speaking right here. Okay, this is P.O.C. And that's the entity that's speaking to knowledge. Knowledge. Okay, that's the entity that's engaging in that because you are indeed stalking. That's the pattern of conduct, P.O.C. It is currently 7 a.m. Alrighty, here is the entity flying over the top of my head, amplifying plane activity, and that is specifically Southwest Air. They're stalking at the light. They turn the light red while the entity flies over my head. They're doing so at 1444 North Euclid Avenue, where this entity is communicating a threat. Okay, because the people of the state are engaging in this conduct, speaking, oh, you must be homeless. That's a psychopath that is stalking me while I sleep outside. The same entity of psychopaths who are monitoring my vagina, they hover over me. They are engaged in sexual violence, obsessed with my vagina, monitoring me, stalking me, also stealing from me. This is the entity that stole my money, my property, my identity, coming outside, looking dirty, with fake lashes, having rags on, some sort of cap on your head, meaning you're pulling together whatever you can to come outside and stalk me to have a moment, and you're engaging in what is defamation in front of the audience, your co-defendants, while the government is stalking me, including where you live, and you're doing that with regard to how important I am coming outside to engage in stalking me in furtherance of murder. Okay, not only is it not an insult, it's audible activity to murder. 7 Zebra Nancy 824 shares in that. 34631 Victor 3. These are the thieves
that are engaging in what is conspiracy to murder, having stolen my money and property and my identity. And while you are coming outside to continuously engage in that criminal surveillance, to speak to what is the economic status is that which is the entity engages in, which is a furtherance of kidnapping and murder. Calling you homeless when they are the reason for that homeless state, which is no reflection on your mental state. This is why the laws are going to change while the state of California and companies like Southwest Airlines conspire your murder, stalk you until they're able to accomplish that, doing it with the people of the state. Where I'm located, where the entity is stalking, where the entity is engaging in what is harassment. Because while I'm walking outside in the morning and I walk on the sidewalk, merely in custody of my phone, for you to come out of your home and making very specific allegations, and also with that bewildering hostility regarding what is on the outside of your vehicle in the first place, even if it were true, all right? And we all can see that you're clairvoyant. This is the entity that's engaging in what is stalking, 9BUV491 surveillance, license 87335J3 surveillance with Southwest Airlines, the Ontario International Airport. Again, progressing up North Euclid Avenue. Everything that came out of that demon's mouth right there is state action, all of it, and it's pursuant to the government that wants to murder you and you not report it. While you're engaging in what is stealing my money and property, you're the brokey who can't afford quality premium lashes and a wig. All right, this is 1544 North Euclid Avenue, and you're understanding this is the same brick wall where impossible light activity, as impossible as right now. The impossibility is based on the fact that third party 8TJH234 is creating impossible light activity while they're stalking under the fake sun. 7 Apple Larry Sammy 079, and they do so as an entity. This is where the entity was stalking by helicopter, stalking with light in PA, Eastvale, California. That impossible light moving across. This is what they're doing at nightfall when the shadows of their vehicles are caused by the headlights of the demons exiting off the 10 freeway, and it's appearing behind me. And my shadow, multiple shadows are skating across this wall. That's impossible light at nightfall. This is impossible light during the day. This is not the sun. 7:38 a.m. in PA, in Eastvale, California, engaging in what is that ongoing psychopathic pacing, molesting with light. I'm going to prosecute that company just like every other one. The federal RICO case, conspiring by murder, engaging in sexual assault and battery, stalking on the roads and the highways. Not actually a legitimate company. They are maliciously engaged in state surveillance in furtherance of murdering an American citizen, and they engage in what is psychological torture through the sexual violence of molesting with impossible light while they do so and with knowledge that they're being documented. In fact, they engage in more of it. That is more of those types of vehicles, that third party in particular, while I'm documenting the people of the state, such as on Deodar, on Hawthorne. This entity that engaged in together speaking threats that it's going to, quote, get weird, quote, if I keep walking through Ontario. I'm going to continue to do that because Ontario is stalking. Ontario is stalking, which the fake sun is going to serve to prosecute the entire population. As I show you, any sample within this city is engaging in that pattern of conduct. That's the significance of what Deodar is doing. That's the significance of what Columbia is doing. That's the significance of what Southwest Airlines and UPS are doing while I'm walking down any street in this area where the entity is maintaining that stalking with light, monitoring and furtherance of murder. To the fake sun, which I documented before 2026. This is the inhumane sex offense committed by a population that are together co-conspiring murder with the government, and it's a state system. This is that government that's over the top of my head where the fake sun is located. That's precise targeting. License plate. EM88W00, that's a paper plate. An impossible light toward all of the co-conspirators comes toward me. 29625B2, where the fake sun is in alignment to me. And by the way, common sense, while they're driving and the fake sun is hitting the passenger side of the vehicle, sunlight is not ricocheting back toward me. It also doesn't cause light to dance behind you on the sidewalk, on the walls, like I've been documenting this population. The Ontario Police Department are being disbanded by this. They are of the same population. They put on police uniforms and wear badges and bear guns in order to commit kidnappings and get away with stalking, conspicuous stalking, while they engage in criminal summoning with them. They include the entity license plate 9XKA298. This entity engaged in what is battery. This is an entity that engaged in stabbing my feet overnight with needles. This is the entity that's engaged in federal stalking. They're engaging in surveillance on the internet. They're keeping the evidence about themselves under surveillance. They're also engaging in what is assault. This African-American woman that's engaging in what is communicating a threat, a verbalized threat,
She is doing so on behalf of every license plate, every address. The entire entity is being prosecuted for what they spoke today through that African American with the bad wig coming outside in dirty clothes, stealing from me, gang stalking me, and then trying to defame me. That's relevant to what is not an insult. It is defamation, however. That's what that vagina monitor, that audible activity coming from that vagina monitor is significant to. This is the entity. They're all vagina monitors. They're all obsessed with my vagina. They're all stalking as a population. And they resort to name calling, and that's supposed to make you appear as though you are some mentally ill person. This is how their system operates. And this is the entity that's doing so, Ontario, California to Upland, California. The entity is doing so with that impossible light. Omnitrans is a very heavily documented terrorist, keeping a fake sun that is stationary, and you're juxtaposing that with while I'm aboard, including in the afternoon where Omnitrans is gang stalking a vagina monitoring company, is engaging what is having this fake sun moving in real time. This is all of that evidence that's surrounding all of them together. Omnitrans, all of that entity, all of the U.S. government is speaking through that third party today. And this is an entity committing assault in that video, verbalizing a threat to engage in physical harm. 8A Mary Wendy 282 is engaged and going to be prosecuted for all of the above. While I, through the P.O.C, publish many of the entities' identity as I encounter them threatening my life and gang stalking and furtherance of murder. All right, the government that's engaged in this is why it's domestic terrorism, because of pure numerosity, okay? Because of the endless, ceaseless nature of it, and because of the demonic nature of it, psychotic. All of the 10 freeway is surveilling me right now. This is the POC. One is here after 3 p.m. and they are touching in the same equally unlawful and sexually motivated manner with impossible light, because they are also criminally monitoring, and so is the airport that is stalking, clear stalking as well. And Alan D. WAPNER, all of them, they're going to be federally prosecuted for the blatant stalking by that airport that's going to be shut down. It is a threat to national security. EN21V65, this is POC. This is psychopathic pacing, not traffic. That fake sun is letting you know what's wrong with them and what they're actually doing. 8KJB154. It's not based on where you live. It's not based on where you're going. It's not based on what you typically do, even when I'm not physically right here. It's the entity that's doing so. That's why the fake sun is here. That's why they stalk with impossible light as an entity. 8RKV741. They're stripped of the rights under the Bill of Rights, the Constitution. They're not private citizens. They're third parties, and they're going to be deported. They're going to federal prison. They're going to be prosecuted as terrorists. They're going to be prosecuted as violent sex offenders. That's going to affect the households where they have minor children and they engage in this psychopathic conduct of another while having custody of children. That's exactly what you're going to address. And it is proven through the light activity. 9KOU637 is proven through the amplified audible activity. It's proven through the co-conspirator conduct of stalking with that government, by plane, by helicopter, by light, by amplified noise. This is a population being prosecuted, and the pattern of conduct is ceaseless, entering into the city of Upland. This is the prosecution of the U.S. government. Okay, this is POC. While the entity is tracking your steps, Amazon Prime is engaging in that pattern of conduct. There's no coincidences here. It's the fake sun. And Amazon Prime is letting you know how they feel about you while you're giving your money to them. While they're gang stalking me and engaging in that, and this I'm going to enforce my rights for. You need to understand, American citizens, those of you listening, watching across the globe, this is Amazon Prime's true position towards you, threatening you, harassing you, keeping you under surveillance, and being hostile while you enforce your rights. That's what that company that sells you products and also monitors your genitalia, those are their true thoughts and feelings towards you while they're gang stalking me, okay? This is tracking your steps. This is not ordinary traffic that's random. This is in sync with my movement where I'm at. The fake sun is the evidence of that, scientific evidence of it. POC. It is currently 7:45 a.m. This entity is going to be prosecuted for battery, for assault, for verbalizing a threat while they're all monitoring together. And I don't have to document all of the thousands of people that are in my path. I'm documenting a ceaseless pattern of conduct that is identical, and it's supernatural. It's impossible that it would be identical, but for there being a proven pattern of conduct. This is removing the officials in position. It's shutting down unlawful threats, such as the airport, such as disbanding police. All right, 7-Eleven in Upland, California is gang stalking. Multiple means of aerial surveillance. This is the entity flying over a small white plane. I documented them years ago. I described them as Tylenol capsules in the sky. They're really small, so small it's almost hard for me to capture with my camera. The entity is flying over and keeping the fake sun. That's the evidence that nobody is making it up. That's not the sun. And the entity's keeping the fake sun, as my documentation shows, where Amazon Prime, showing you that they are enemies to you while they want you also to spend money on them, is gang stalking under a 6 p.m. fake sun that's here at the same address. 7RZG311, this is all a RICO case.
a massive RICO case, and the RICO relevant to what is murder by companies that are gang stalking. Impossible light across the roof, that's a demon. This is the combination of demonic activity and terrorism in furtherance of murder by the government. That is maintaining aerial surveillance, stalking on the roads and the highways. 9 WDF 409, and they are all here because of me, including while they are at work, under the fake sun, with the people of the state, stalking in a store, stalking in the parking lot, stalking on the roads and the highways. And I want to be clear, the entity engaging what is poisoning. Okay, so I'm buying food from Stater Brothers, from Vons, from 7-Eleven, and also as I'm documenting at these venues that are serving meals, the entity's engaged in poisoning. So it's really exclusive where I'm buying food from. And the entity's doing that because as I walk through the neighborhoods and document, the entity engaged in what is putting substances in my body and in my food. And they're all going to be prosecuted for that. License 7WEG388. This is pacing under the fake sun. They're mentally ill. 7DEK573. 61359 Robert 2. And 7-Eleven is inside monitoring on communication devices. Their employees, their patrons alike. This is the means of surveillance in the path, pacing under the fake sun, impossible light across the roof. That's a demon. Okay, this isn't even the sun. The entity is keeping it over me at the bus stop, just as one example, at 537 Good Avenue in Ontario, California. All right, that's the pattern of conduct. This is speaking to what is going on in the city of Upland, and this is documentation regarding the entity that's engaged in gang stalking as businesses. They're not businesses. They're terrorists. They're engaging in surveillance, which is what California is consumed with. And these businesses engaged in what is poisoning and comes with the people, every license plate, everyone speaking. The entity engaging in what is battery, assault, implied threats of harm, also poisoning. They're engaging in this while they are engaging in the pattern of conduct in furtherance of murder, including Metrolink, who is audible activity under a fake sun. Very deliberate. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:19 a.m. You'll recall the entity engaging in criminal summoning on this street when I'm coming from the library. This is speaking to the intention, the malice, the knowledge, the mental illness, the psychosis of the gang stalker that is demon possessed, that fills a population. The entity is going psychotic in ambulances and police vehicles, sounding sounds, criminal summoning on Euclid Avenue. It's the same thing when I'm at the Upland Public Library in the middle of the afternoon. This is the same street. And it's the same pattern of conduct. The city of Upland and the city of Ontario sharing in what is that ongoing communication of a threat, which is relevant to the RICO case. You're going to prosecute these companies, and they're going to be prosecuted for murder, conspiracy to murder. P.O.C. This is documentation regarding poisoning by the entity. P.O.C. Alrighty, currently, where the Upland School District is engaged in surveillance, and they're doing so by stalking in the path, getting out of their vehicles. As I begin recording with simultaneity is the demonic pattern of conduct. I went through this parking lot, I documented all the sex offenders that work for the Upland School District. This is Euclid Avenue in Upland, California. The people of the state are engaging in the identical pattern of conduct, which is supernatural. First of all, this isn't the sun, number one. Number two, when you are driving under the sun, even if you entertain what is implausible, impossible light activity is what is reflecting, speaking to what is the intentional engagement, the affirmative act regarding stalking with light. K533 Apple 1 is a violent sex offender that's committing an unlawful touch while stalking on behalf of the government, which the entity is doing as the people of the state. They are doing so in a specific environment on Euclid. That's a stalker that's saying hello. You see that impossible light across the Upland School District? There's nothing friendly about it. It's audible activity while crossing path, monitoring and furtherance of murder. As a population that maintains pedestrian traffic, maintains traffic on the roads and the highways, and maintains air traffic while stalking, okay? What you're also saying is the entity is very precise conduct. Now, I've shown that they're not highly intelligent at all, but these are demons who are engaging in what is that precision because of their condition, the demon-possessed factor, and that's not based on age, okay? So that is the ability to be perfectly in my path. To engage in that ongoing behavioral pattern that I've shown you is significant in the supernatural environment. It's not just hazard lights. It's not a precaution that they're taking. They're stalking with light in the path. And light is not going to occur while you're driving in the shade across the Upland Unified School District, which lets you know what is working for the Upland Unified School District. Many of these sex offenders I documented. These are terrorists who are also living a double life, working amongst children as though they're passionate about. And these demon-possessed people who are psychopathic, they actually live their lives as though they actually genuinely believe that. But this is the entity that's engaging in what is a lie regarding who they actually are. They know that they're gang stalking, and they also live a life as though they're not engaging in that. And that's that duality regarding being passionate about the education of children. However, you're a demon-possessed gang stalker at the same time. Whether you acknowledge that or whether you are cognizant of it, it does not change that fact. And this entity has this fake son while they're stalking with activity in the parking lot, while engineer light is sweeping across the Upland School District, that is again adjacent to the Upland Public Library. And at 8:44 a.m., you'll recall my documentation, while this fake sun remains over me, everybody inside of the Upland School District is unfit to be around children, to be in this field while they're engaging in terrorism at the same time, vagina monitoring at the same time. That's what this evidence is showing you. And it is no surprise when the janitor is molesting children, when the teachers or the professors are having sex with the students. It's not a surprise. This is the ongoing system that's underway in the United States, and the government is aware of it. The government's engaged in surveillance. They keep themselves employed while they play cops and robbers. This is the entity that has this fake son, as you're aware, while I'm inside of this library right here on D Street, where Oak Park is gang stalking, just like they are at the Ovid Family Community Library, exploiting the developmentally challenged while monitoring me and monitoring my vagina. And this fake son is in the same position that it is in outside of these windows of D Street, the Upland Public Library, at 4 and 5 o'clock in the evening. This is impossible to be the case, and I'm capturing that impossibility because every single last person that I ever documented is going to be subject to a federal prosecution. It's in every neighborhood, in every city, and as I've gone from California to Nevada, every state. And that is proven by what is not only a pattern, but it's a supernatural pattern. It is impossible that it would even happen once, let alone as I document it happening on a ceaseless basis. This is the P.O.C. This is stalking, as you're identifying that. That's why the environment is here. And that's also why you have impossible light that moves across buildings for the surveillance purposes of the city. License plate 21852D3. All you're doing is putting Upland Police on the side of that because they're engaging in that same psychopathic conduct. Ongoing surveillance is committed in furtherance of murder. This is a population of murderers, again, using Upland School District as an example, who are unfit to be working around children. But that is, unless you want to look at it this way, around their own demon-possessed children, because that's what they are. They are cursed wombs who are engaged in what is bringing forth demon-possessed children who are monitoring with the government, monitoring as families, monitoring in the community. Okay, and cloaking themselves as innocent children. They're innocent insofar as they didn't ask to be born into those circumstances, but they are not innocent, they are monitoring. And the government is exploiting the youth that are engaging in that conduct. And it is equally criminal under the law. The entities engaging in this while you're looking into the ongoing activity creation while the government is indeed engaged in surveillance. And there are serious federal repercussions. The ongoing terrorism of American citizen is that which foreign terrorists commit, and they are put in places like Guantanamo Bay. Mike LORENZ and MARCELO BLANCO. You have COLLIN SHEEHY of the San Bernardino, the captain of the San Bernardino County Fire, engaging in criminal summoning, psychopaths pacing up and down the street, monitoring me, while this fake sun is still here 7-8 hours later, pacing, because that's the significance of the fake sun here for somebody at 3 o'clock to engage in the same conduct, activity creation. And they're doing that centering around my vagina at the Upland Public Library. This is P.O.C. and it's an ongoing about-face, a grand departure from the sun being in Ontario. Everybody inside of the Upland School District is monitoring. They're gang stalking sex offenders that work amongst children. Okay, this is the P.O.C. 7HMF 225, excuse me, and that's a Latino male. And I want you to be clear, they are equally barbaric. One with a criminal record as a violent sex offender, as a pedophile, and one that has never been convicted before, is passionate and is decorated with a lot of awards working for any city school district. They're engaged in the same pattern of conduct. This is regarding that illusion. The illusion of privacy, the illusion of anonymity, the illusion of those that are normal human beings. They are not, they're demons. They're engaged in criminal conduct and it's public corruption. They are not just monitoring you and stalking you. It is down to your genitalia. That's how detailed, that's how specific, that's how obsessed, that's how in your business the demon-possessed entity is, and this is being exposed in California. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:48 a.m. where this fake sun is still present, beaming through these windows. Looking at every day on the Google Drive. I take pictures of it, and it's existing before 2026. This is P.O.C. Those are psychopaths that are pacing around, engaging in surveillance around me in the library. And they do so with regard to what is trying to maintain and failing. So that's where you're able to see that psychopathic disorder. That ongoing act as though nothing is happening, that's the psychopath right there. Everything that you see is speaking to that P.O.C. All right, this is D Street in Euclid in Upland, California. It's 8:49 a.m. This is the psychopathic pacing.
The mentally ill make up an entity. They make up a community. It is not an exception to the norm. The norm is mental illness, psychopathic, demon possession, and that's the unfortunate reality, and it's supported by facts. Satan owns a lot of people, and they are filling this country, and they're engaging in what is criminal activity, sacrificing people, murdering them, and it's a crime committed by a people. P.O.C. 5WDX231.
Able to request someone to the bathroom smells like urine. Somebody peed all over the floor in the women's room. Are you guys able to have that cleaned up? It smells bad and I can't use the stall. Okay. This is documentation of the entity engaging what is targeting by virtue of the use of the private space where they're engaged in surveillance. And so as I've documented, for example, at Starbucks, the entity will, the bathroom is clean. For example, on the first day I go, I start documenting, and I'm documenting vagina monitoring. This is when the entity begins keeping the bathroom in a disarray, filthiness, and the entity is doing this while they are gang stalking in that bathroom. This is a means of harassment, and that's how it's going to be prosecuted under the law. It's literally targeting where they're keeping my vagina under surveillance in that bathroom and then intentionally not cleaning it while they are being documented as sex offenders. The entity is doing this while they have the fake sun, all manner of engineer light, the psychopathic pacing, the stalking by the government. This is the very clear method of what is targeting, including by treating that private space in that manner while it is where I am going in to utilize that private space. So I want to document that this is up in public library. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct. I captured the fake sun outside of the D Street windows, and it is currently 12:18 p.m. and the fake sun is outside of the D Street windows. I'm going to go ahead and take an image of it right now at what is 12:18 p.m. It is over the top of my head, and this state actor that I'm speaking to is engaged in monitoring me. The entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct while I'm publishing all the evidence, and this is informing the real-time ongoing ceaseless harassment as an entity that is underway while I document and prosecute this entity through my documentation onto the venue of the internet. It's 12:18 p.m. The entity, I just took a picture of that. That'll be uploaded to the Google Drive. So this is the entity that's during the 8 a.m. hour. It's 9, 10, 11, it's 12:18 p.m. So this is over 4 hours, and it's over the same street where I stood outside. This is documentation of the sex offense. This is relevant to methods of harassment where the entity is targeting you. This is P.O.C. I'm just asking because that's the only stall that I can fit in my property. You know.
I'm just gonna put some gloves on, wipe it all. I mean, I can't clean it right now. The cleaners come tonight. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, it smells though,
Yeah.
and it's all over in front of the toilet.
Right.
All right. So when you are assessing the purpose of the environment and then presence in that environment, you are able to see the sick criminal system that is underway by the state, and it's underway in the city of Upland. So I am inside of the Upland Public Library, where I stood outside of the Upland Public Library before 10 a.m., before 9 a.m., during the 8 a.m. hour, and I've also been here earlier aboard Omnitrans, going to Fontana, going to Montclair, going to different locations, and the fake sun rolls right over this venue at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning as well. This is the pattern of conduct, but this is speaking to the fake sun that remains parked over the venue and the engineer light that is just streaming all inside, all over the walls and the ceilings and the floors. And it's for the criminal surveillance purposes of the people. These are demons that are stalking me as they are outside, engaging in what is stalking wherever it is that I'm at. So you saw this morning, because I'm walking up the street and I engage in documentation, this is where the airport is stalking over the Arco sky space. This is where the entity is stalking on the roads and the highways, which is what the purpose of the surveillance on the roads and the highways in California is. Everywhere and anywhere the entity is engaged in psychopathic pacing, stalking, while they are going onto the gas station property, filling up their gas tanks, which is the criminal means of what is surveillance. While you are paying, walking to and from the window, oh snaps, shucks, they're not open yet. You're pacing from the vehicle back to the, from the vehicle to the storefront, back to your vehicle in the engineered environment while the government's pacing by airplanes, and they're pacing on the roads and the highways, and they're doing that while they are engaging what is monitoring and harassing, while I'm maintaining that ongoing documentation. And then you are also engaged in conspicuous surveillance in that environment where you are standing there stalking in the path, filling up your gas tank. It doesn't matter what you're doing while you're stalking in the path. It's all activity creation in engineered light. While the people of the state are sharing in that pattern of conduct, this entity is engaged in what is maniacal behavior. This is an entity that committed battery overnight. And I also want to be clear, the entity that is poisoning my food, these are the ways in which the entity is seeking to obstruct justice, because I am up early in the morning and I'm also up late at night documenting. This entity that is aware of that is engaging what is inflicting harm onto my person, make it difficult for me to walk, stabbing my foot, also engaging what is poisoning my food, creating an urgency to use the bathroom that may or may not even be laxatives. You cannot make, and you don't have to make, an assumption it's poisoning and it's an unlawful threat to your life, and the entity's going to prison for that, including Jason Fields and Tracy Banks. This is an entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct while they are aware that they are being documented. Okay, so being in your home and me being outside, me not being on what is the anything other than the sidewalk, that is insufficient to claim that I'm going through the neighborhood and documenting you. Well, they're not even using that word, it's recording, and like they have any sort of privacy in their license plate or on the sidewalk or in the sky space, and they don't. Moreover, this is the entity that is speaking to what is concern about the entire neighborhood as opposed to just you. And even more detailed than that, this is an entity that's engaging in that sort of conduct while there's nothing that on its face is causing me to be brought to their attention. They're certainly not paying attention to the helicopters that's flying in circles over them while that Ontario police are stalking me. They're not paying attention to the commercial planes that are flying over their homes while the Ontario National Airport is stalking me. They're not paying attention to that which is making a public nuisance, whereas I am silent. Okay, I'm walking early in the morning when it's before the fake sun rises. In alignment to me. I'm doing so while I am walking on the sidewalk, and custody of my phone is insufficient for you to have any knowledge about what it is that I'm doing. But for you gang stalking, which everyone that is watching, viewing the exposure of the demon possessed knows that that's exactly what they're aware of. And the entity has lost an ability to maintain what was supposed to be an appearance of anonymity while they're gang stalking you, and that's supposed to create the picture of mental illness on the target individual's part. To the contrary, the entity is shown to be psychopathic, sexually perverted, delusional, antisocial, and very highly threatening while they're engaging in this maniacal behavior as they are being exposed and engaging what are acts of violence, because I am so heavily documenting them. Every single there is no such thing as numerosity barring justice. There is no such thing. Okay, so the efficiency of the court, that is not a legitimate interest here with regard to a court system that wants to make more efficient the ways in which you are executing your cases and whatnot. That's not a relevant cause here. You're talking about what is justice with regard to terrorism by a population which the government is utilizing. So it will, under no circumstances, be a bar to justice. And this is something that people like Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, the state of California, the U.S. government, are implementing. And it's the government's concoction, and the government's going to be federally prosecuted. So everybody on Hawthorne, everybody that I documented on Deodar, everybody along Euclid Avenue, everybody along I Street, everybody along Granada, everybody that I document in every parking lot of Economy Inn, in the shopping plazas where they're having a gang stalking field day, a food festival while the P.O.C. is underway by the city of Ontario, they will all be federally prosecuted. It will not be a bar because a population is targeting an American citizen who's very much capable to prosecute it and prosecute all of them. It is a criminal conspiracy, and there is no such thing under the law with regard to a conspiracy that contains too many people. All right. This is also speaking to what is beyond a civil matter. So this is not some means of creating what is legally irrelevant. It's not a matter of some class action. That is not what this is either. This is speaking to what is unprecedented, never before proven and never before prosecuted, and justice requires that it is prosecuted in the way in which I have shown. And there are no concerns by the justice system that this entity abuses, by the way, that's going to bar that. Numerosity is the fault of the stalker. It's not going to be some sort of preclusion for the target individual to get justice. All right. I just want to make sure that that's abundantly clear because I have documented the entity that's targeting me by the hundreds. Okay. And over years, you're talking about thousands. And the entity you're talking about of that population, as I document you targeting over and over and over again, which I recall on my own, but also in the documentation, it'll show those that are systematically stalking. Repeatedly, I'm documenting. They're going to prison. This is an entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct, and the evidence is leading that investigation, and those facts are speaking to what is justice under all circumstances. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct, and the entity is engaging in that, and I want to make sure that this is documentation. You're understanding the entities merely engaging in surveillance inside of the library. They're all here calling themselves babysitting, if you will, babysitting in furtherance of murder. They're babysitting on behalf of the government. All right, making sure that they block my path, making sure that they are stalking with noise, which is harassment, by demons that are engaged in the pattern of conduct, not engaged in any constitutionally protected means of employment, like Joy, who's gang stalking. Okay, this is an entity that's engaged in psychotic behavior, and as they are hostile to what it is that I publish on the internet, for example, while I'm in the study room, at that moment, that's when the study room is no longer available, and I have to come out of the study room, which is a means to document. It's a means for me to document, but it's a means of them monitoring as I leave from one area to another, and all they're doing is surrounding, sitting at all the places, making sure it's ongoing, incessant means of psychotic behavior by those that are harassing because the entity is already prosecuted. I'm going to recover for that. Okay, this is something that American citizens are typically subject to, and it's not designed for them to survive it, but that's not what's happening here. And with that, I am going to recover what justice requires, and I have provided the evidence that is proving, and not only that, it is supporting what justice requires. Okay, so you're the one that targeted me with the millions of people in the state of California. And as I document them, as I encounter them, it's not going to be a bar. They're not going to be protected. They are totally exposed, and they are exposed to this prosecution. There is no means whereby under the law the government can protect criminals that are sharing in their pattern of conduct. It doesn't exist. And this is what the Ontario Police Department have done. The entity itself, as I document the people, what is the entity doing? Stalking in helicopter, incriminating every single last one of them. Every single last one of them. This is the entity that's engaging. And remember that this is all relevant to this little demon-possessed couple, Jason Fields and Tracy Banks. And there is nothing that this corrupt agent, Jason Fields, there is nothing that he can, because he's scared regarding demonic spirits that he sent against me that are not coming for me. They're going to come for him and all his fellow cult members, because he is fearful now, and because he's engaged in what is witnessing somebody that's not succumbing to his psychotic means of targeting someone, because he is surveying that he's going to be and he is unsuccessful in conspiring against my life and stealing against me and making me look like I'm a liar, or making me look like I'm mentally ill, because he felt that that's the only reason why. This is someone who was given any information with regard to the feds. He's been surrounded. He is not a hero. He is not a good guy. He is a predator. These are serial killers. He's going to prison. Now, with regard to what the government may state on one hand, that is immunity with regard to providing information, he is not immune. My documentation is speaking for ongoing terrorism that I'm subject to, being battered overnight because this entity doesn't want me to be able to walk as far as I can, because I can walk and document tons of people in the morning. This is an entity that's engaging in inflicting harm because I'm documenting them. And that is not stopping the documentation. In fact, everybody that's documented who was already known, the entity is already known. Me going to Granada Street is not adding mysterious defendants that were not already known. That's not what's going on here. What the entity is doing, though, is adding on more federal charges. The entity is engaged in what is physically harming me, poisoning my food, and the entity that is engaged in poisoning, why would you be poisoning my food but for engagement in that pattern of conduct? What is it that you have to gain with regard to targeting me at 7-Eleven, at Vons, at Stater Brothers, poisoning my food? You know who I am, and you are serving to obstruct justice as well. And all of that is also proven by the fake sun, the fake moon, the engineer light, the stalking by the state directly. And also, they're all demons stalking with impossible light, making malicious and false allegations like the Ovid Family Community Library. I'm absolutely no credibility whatsoever. Okay, this is an entity that's engaged in that, and Jason Fields is not immune. My evidence is speaking to what the federal government does not have any authority to do. You are the one that targeted me and furtherance of murdering me. You are not in any position to cause anyone to be, quote unquote, immune from prison. He's going to prison. I still remain subject to it. And he is still targeting, by the way. He's not immune because he is still gang stalking me. The criminal system that he thought was going to cause my life to end is still being executed against me, regardless of the unexpected outcome. He's going to prison. I want to make sure that that's abundantly clear. Let me repeat it again. Jason Fields is going to federal prison. This is somebody that will never be in my presence. He's going to prison for even longer if he comes in my presence, engaging in terrorism in my face, just like the Ontario Police Department, just like the people of the state. Because that's what they're doing as a population. It's going to be dealt with under the law. All right. This is somebody that is engaged in the creating the intricacies of how you're going to target me and what you thought was going to happen, and then what you're going to do and who you're going to pay and how much they're going to get and what you thought that you were running. You don't control anything, including your own infected genitalia, including your own sick mind. He's going to prison. He's going to federal prison. And this is also relevant to what is his severe mental instability, targeting people, many people before me. This is P.O.C. This is relevant to bathroom monitoring, and it is directly tied to what is the greater pattern of conduct. Surveillance in the bathroom is an illustration of the psychotic and obsessive and deranged and maniacal criminal conduct that a system is surrounding an American citizen with. You have a whole bunch of zombies sitting in here stalking, monitoring my every physical movement, monitoring my devices, and monitoring as psychopaths who are already exposed. And they are like obsessive stalkers, sitting still engaging in that surveillance. And that's why Jason Fields is going to prison. He's not getting out of anything under the law. You will not be getting out of this. It is impossible. I just want to be clear. This is something that has never been prosecuted before. So in many ways, the laws that exist are insufficient. This is no ordinary crime. You are not getting any sort of immunity. You're not getting any sort of immunity because I remain subject to the pattern of conduct. And there's no federal investigator that's stopping this entity that feels comfortable enough to put needles in my foot overnight. Who's investigating? Who's investigating? Or who thinks that they're going to gang stalk me and engage in so much harm that I'm going to call them and deal with them? Somebody's psychotic. Somebody's going to be committed. And it's not going to be me. He's going to federal prison. And so is his wife, Tracy Banks. This is P.O.C. It's 12:33 p.m. All right, I want you to see what's the fake sun directly over my head at what is Walmart, where demons are stalking in the bathroom. It's 1:17 p.m. If you recall my documentation, the entity's keeping a fake sun directly over my head at the Fontana Lewis Library. This is April 29, 2020. All right, this is video that is clearly in reference to the Fontana Lewis Library in Fontana, California, a state facilitating venue of San Bernardino County, where on April 29, 2022, I am referring to the placement of the fake sun over me while the Fontana Lewis Library, the Fontana Police Department, and Stephanie Ortiz in particular, in concert with the people of the state, are gang stalking, where then they commit the federal offense of criminal summoning and a threat to commit kidnapping, all of this while they're gang stalking and then unlawfully excluding me, which is discrimination on its face. And also it is in substance when you're looking at the pattern of conduct by these gang stalking libraries, which is the government. It's the city of Fontana, while they're seeking to obstruct justice, because I am documenting the criminal pattern of conduct that is underway at these libraries, including the Fontana Lewis Library, under that fake sun, in that engineer environment. And they are a sex offender engaging in what are making false allegations in order to remove me from the venue, as I am exposing the unlawful threat to my life that they pose while they're gang stalking me, including in the bathroom. The fake sun is over me in Ontario, California at this Walmart. And this is what I'm documenting. YouTube has blocked my video under erroneous, clearly erroneous and absurd and irrelevant terms regarding, as I included the appeal that I submitted, content ID regarding Fontana Lewis Library. And there's not even any music in my video. And I refer to Fontana Lewis Library very heavily in my documentation. This is the same evidence regarding 2022 that this entity is very much hostile to me publishing, and this is another means of obstruction of justice. It is not an error. It is not a mistake. The entity's engaging in surveillance. This does not happen when you're engaging in surveillance. There are no mistakes. I'm exposing the tactics of an entity that is malicious, and it is an unlawful threat to my life. In the same way that the entity is excluding me from the Ovid Family Community Library, upon false allegations, no event whatsoever, okay? And they're engaging in that, again, while I'm publishing this very evidence, very damning evidence in 2022 before I was kidnapped. And the entity's engaging in what is removing my evidence on the venue of the internet regarding this evidence and more that I'm publishing in 2022, which is very damning evidence. It's all damning. The entity is very much hostile to this evidence in June and July of 2022 being published. This is what's relevant regarding the pattern of conduct and the intent to obstruct justice on the venue of the internet. YouTube is a third party. The internet is a facilitating venue. Surveillance is fully underway, and I have already shown the body of evidence proving the gang stalking that I'm subject to in relevant position is in accord with what is surveillance that's underway on my devices and on the internet, where the people of the state, this entity is engaging in unlawful surveillance as well. This is relevant to what is an unlawful threat posed by this third party YouTube, who has a pattern of removing my evidence, including my evidence of this same manner. So doing this in a different manner, it's the same ongoing unlawful threat to my life, removing my evidence showing the fake sun, which is what YouTube was doing in 2020, 2019, 2021, and doing so without any regard for consequences. And I documented it. Okay, while this entity's been stealing my content, people like Jason Fields and Tracy Banks, stealing my content, stealing my idea, stealing my this is my intellectual property, making money off of it. YouTube is aware. Remember, this is surveillance, so they're not ignorantly permitting other people. People are not ignorantly and without any knowledge of anyone else, including the platforms, engaging in that kind of abuse. This is speaking to and removing these illusions. YouTube is a third party. This is an unlawful threat to my life. The entity is stabbing my feet with needles at night, poisoning my food, and engaging in what is harassing me and making threats of physical harm while gang stalking me in things like planes and helicopters, stalking me as a population from city to city. This is what the entity is engaging in, and it is an unlawful threat. And there is not even anything relevant to a song. There's no music. It's merely me speaking. And I'm speaking in reference to that which I've documented plenty of times, which is the Fontana Lewis Library in Fontana, California. This is another tactic regarding isolating, discriminating, obstructing what is publishing evidence, which is a federal offense. It is facilitating the pattern of conduct. You are gang stalking when you are engaging in this on the venue of the internet. This is P.O.C. It's currently 3:49 p.m. This video was captured June 26, 2022 at 1:17 p.m. Fake sun over me from morning, leaving Ontario on Omnitrans to the city of Fontana, remaining at the Fontana Lewis Library. The entity that is Stephanie Ortiz, who's going to federal prison, engages in criminal summoning, monitoring, group stalking, harassment with the demon-possessed Fontana Police Department. Okay, this is mental illness, the picture of it. This is the entity that's surrounding the store with light activity, and they're pacing in and out. And these are demons, and this is demonic, and it's very mentally ill. This is the state. These are the third parties engaging in that conduct, and 7-Eleven is going to be prosecuted. It's sexual assault and battery. It's federal stalking. The people of the state are doing so, which includes 7-Eleven, which includes the people of the state. This is where the fake sun is over me. This is the nighttime version of that. This is psychotic. They're not even in front of the gas stall. They're making sure that light is surrounding. Okay, this is P.O.C. This is a sex offender. Pay attention, the male and the female are both sex offenders, obsessed with me, stalking me, monitoring me, and obsessed with my vagina. 54864 Victor 3. 8 Baby Apple Edwards 683. All of them stalking, and so is 7-Eleven. While the entity is stalking, while the government is stalking, while that environment is stalking, that establishment is stalking. 7-Eleven's engaged in gang stalking. You already know that. This is the entity engaging at 9LDH535. This is P.O.C. That's psychotic. This is psychotic, and it's gang conduct. And this is what the police department are relying on the people of the state to engage in. The police are monitoring. While police are monitoring, they are not police officers. They're engaged in stalking. They're demons at that. This is P.O.C. The city of Upland is being prosecuted. That light activity is coexisting with this demon pacing around the gas station. I'm gonna get their license plates right now. This is P.O.C. 8R HV707. All right, so what he's doing now, he's doing that with his co-defendant, the amplified noise, while this demon is still starting. And you're going to remember this in federal court. I'm going to prosecute him based on what he's doing. He's aiming light toward this location where I'm going to be walking toward the crosswalk. Okay, this is what he's doing, parking right in front of the door. This unorthodox conduct in the parking lot is a demon-possessed vagina monitor with his female co-defendant. Okay, both of them engaged in the sex offense of gang stalking together. The demon-possessed don't love each other. They don't even like each other. They're engaged in sexually monitoring another person together, even as couples and families. Their demon-possessed kids do the same. This is P.O.C. It's harassment while the demons are stalking with light. All right, you see that light on the vehicle? It's not headlights. Those are not headlights. This is a demon. They're all demons, and that's the pattern of conduct. Sexual assault and battery, and you're gonna prosecute the business. You're gonna drain them. It's criminal activity, not just civil. This is federal RICO. They come onto the property to engage in surveillance. The government is engaging in surveillance. It's not a private property. It's a third party. And this is 204 North Euclid Avenue. This is the prosecution of every business. They're all engaging in the identical conduct, whether you go to the bank, whether you go to the laundromat, whether you go to the grocery store. When you are on the freeway, they're doing the exact same thing. It's the pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. That's mental illness. This is conduct for commitment, 54864 Victor 3. That's the very criminal activity that the people of the state are being committed with. And that's mentally ill behavior. They will be subject to commitments while they're stalking me. This is P.O.C. P.O.C. 90647 Paul 2, Golden Bear Towing. Heavily documented stalking me in Upland, California, typically at Vaughn's on Foothill. That's the entity doing so with Upland Police. See that? P.O.C. In the specific environment, there's one, there's two. Everybody monitoring on the freeway. This is P.O.C. That's all impossible light activity. It's all impossible light activity. It's not their headlights. That's engineer light. Crossing path, crossing path, crossing path, crossing path, crossing path, crossing path, crossing path. They're all demons. They're all demons. This is P.O.C. That impossible light activity coexists with this demon driving by me. It's just that there's nothing behind me that would cause that light activity to appear on that house. You see that? This is demonic, and these are demons. This is the entity that's engaging in. They are indeed stalking as a population. Do you know what agency is being prosecuted for it? It is the Upland Police Department, who you will see in the video dated March 17, 2026, _2, because I've already published one today. It's going to be a second one regarding Upland, California, that are vagina monitoring stalkers. These are the light slinging gargoyles, okay? These are the demon possessed, riding around with manifestation of light, okay? It's to monitor. The entities engaging in what is manifesting light at a distance, that's speaking to targeting. It's as targeting as Southwest Airlines flying over the top of my head while I'm walking down this sidewalk. Okay, and as targeted as the fake sun remaining over the Upland Public Library, like I documented today on Another Day. They are engaging in this, which is stalking with light. And the city of Upland is a sex offender. The city of Upland is a domestic terrorist. And the city of Upland is facilitating ongoing terrorism amongst a population with whom it relies on to keep me under surveillance. And that's the prosecution of terrorist leaders like Marcelo Blanco. Okay? This is P.O.C. The city of Upland engaging what it's targeting with the city of...
Nope. Who is there? Hello? No one with this, please.
Huh?
Is this Erica?
Who is that saying my name?
Huh?
Who is that?
I'm asking if it's you. Oh, it is you.
Who is that?
Hi, Erica.
You see how they call me by name?
Are you okay? You need help?
Who is it?
Ontario Police Department.
I know. Who are you?
The Ontario Police Department.
What's your name? You called me by name. Do I have a name tag on? How do you know who I am?
We're both officers with the Ontario Police Department. Are you okay? Do you need any help tonight?
You know, you say that again? You know what?
We're both officers with the Ontario Police Department. Are you okay? Do you need any help tonight?
Did somebody tell you that I needed help?
No, I want to pass through. Just want to make sure you're okay.
Oh, they're just passing through. This is a molestation. No, I'm good.
Alright.
Do you want to tell me, is that Galban?
No, I'm not going.
Is it? Oh, okay. Okay. License plate 1591659, vehicle 1021. Didn't check on them, right? Didn't stop and check on them, see if they needed anything. Stopping and giving attention to me. This is targeting. Comes and drives right here and stops on the opposite side of the wall. Didn't see my face, didn't see anything, and is stating, calling me out by name. Okay, this is just more relevant context regarding targeting by that department. That is stalking, and so is this third party. It's the same pacing conduct by the airport while they're pacing. It's the same thing with the helicopter while they're pacing. They just engaged in what, hey, Erica, do you need anything? Like they're going to go get me donuts and coffee or something. Like we have a conversation on a daily basis and they're checking on me. That's the entity that is engaging in what is threatening. It's equally psychologically torturous. It's equally criminal. And the entity is coming around and asking my name. Well, I just want to be clear, see where I'm at. I'm behind this wall back here, so when you're driving, you can't see that I'm seated. Well, you can't see my identity. And you should not, unless you already know who I am, call me out by name. Okay? I am not the only person that's homeless. I'm not the only black woman that's around here. This is the entity that's engaged in gang stalking. Under all circumstances, you're looking at what is the evidence for way too much attention given to me by the Ontario Police. All right, this is P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct while they're engaging in the elements of monitoring. That was the entity engaged in that pattern of conduct while they're molesting with light, while they're stalking in the path. And they're engaging what is asking me if that was a method of audible activity creation, in other words. All right, it's P.O.C. It's currently 9:11 p.m. This is Securitas gang stalking. Securitas that's on video telling me that he's going to call those gang stalking police officers on me, that agency, with whom he's been gang stalking me for months. I'm sitting here at the same plaza that I said it's not closed down, and I have him on video engaging with his gang stalking me by harassing me. Okay, and that's the entity that is also gang stalking, and doing so, I'm at the same location. It is not closed. The Civic Plaza is not closed down. And by the way, common sense, I'm not inside of the building. Because the venue is closed does not mean you can't stand outside or sit outside, walk your dog, like they're doing, okay? But moreover, we're not even getting into that. This is gang stalking, period. But let's be clear, the evidence shows Securitas is gang stalking me with that very agency with whom he's threatening to call on. That's criminal summoning that you're threatening to engage in, which is federal prison. The moment it comes out of your mouth, you're going to prison. And the entity's engaging in what is gang stalking me with that agency. And I'm at the same location that is not closed, and I am free to sit here, but I also have a right constitutionally and a human right to be here free of being gang stalked, and that's what I'm prosecuting for. It is currently 9:13 p.m. This is P.O.C. Sex offender comes around molesting as I cross the street and doing so with the government that's stalking by plane. Remember last night when they're flying over the adjacent property, Metro 102? It's based on where I'm located. They're engaged in the pattern of conduct, and you're looking at the angle that they're turning. They're just stalking. These sex offenders, the people that state that are going to be federally prosecuted as terrorists, the vagina monitors that are targeting with the city of Ontario, they're being prosecuted for the terrorists that they've been proven to be. A population of people are going to be federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. And this airport is being shut down because the people of the state are engaging in terrorism, co-conspiring, and murder with that government. And that's a murderer stalking in a commercial plane. And this is the behavior where the entity will be subject to commitments. In the same way where you're stalking with light, you will be committed. This is the evidence to serve that. This is the entity you're paying attention to earlier this morning. When I'm on that side of the property, where's the airport stalking? They're flying on the over the El Bacon, over the Metro 102 apartments. They're flying over this while I'm walking from the Ovid Family Community Library, where sex offenders are psychotic. They're lying in wait to come around and touch all over my body. That's the mens rea, the mindset of a predator, of a sex offender, one keeping my vagina under surveillance. And then they have the audacity to have their children, while their little kids are sex offenders as well, monitoring vagina right along with them. That's what I'm capturing at this venue, at the Upland Public Library, keeping their kids in the backseat while they're engaged in the sex offense. 9WNS073, that's a psychopath. They're pacing. They're mentally ill. They're stalking with an airport. You're stalking in a plane. They're mentally ill. P.O.C. license 6 Sam Robert Uncle 617. This is a terrorist driving around in the middle of the night stalking a woman, people. They're mentally ill. They're being federally prosecuted, the whole population of them. A population of sex offenders. A population of the mentally ill. This is actually the reality. The illusion is that mental illness is something that is an exception, something that is shown and witnessed through the behavior, something that is diagnosed. No, the mentally ill fill a whole population, and they're stalking as a whole airport, a whole police department, a whole population in Ontario, California. This is P.O.C. The absurdity of what the entity is doing is why the federal prosecution is going to go exactly how I've stated it. P.O.C.